Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I'm Kyra. Thank you all for joining. All right, now we are back and ready for a discussion. So welcome, Gloria, to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Well, let's go ahead and dive into our conversation. Let's start. Why don't you tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I'm Gloria. Hi, everyone. I am a life coach. I specialize in self-love, empowerment, and emotional wellness. And I help mainly women heal from the past. So, and the past being a lot of dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship, emotional abuse, traumatic relationships, not necessarily intimate relationships. But it could also be happening in the work environment, or perhaps it's family relationships with parents, siblings, but anything that has caused them, any kind of relationship that has caused them pain. And I help them move on from that so that they can actually go on and live their life as they're meant to live it.
Okay, great. Well, everyone, before Gloria tells you how she can work directly with you and help you, she is going to share her story with us. So, Gloria, let's start. So first, let's get a definition of narcissistic. Let's start with narcissistic abuse. What is it? What does it look like?
Yes. So that's how I started. So that's thank you for bringing that up, because that's what I experienced. I was in a relationship with a narcissist for 15 years. And then I realized that it was actually the reason why I ended up in a relationship with a narcissist is because I had narcissists in my family growing up. And therefore, there is a quote that says, I can't remember where the quote is from. I think it's Carl Jung, but I'm not sure. He says, you marry in the only dynamic that you know. Right. So, and I think that that's honestly what happened to me. So let's get back to your original question. What is narcissistic abuse? So narcissistic abuse is a very deep type of manipulation. Is psychological manipulation, psychological and emotional manipulation, and is when you are dealing with a narcissist in your life, whether they have been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder or maybe they haven't. There is a huge spectrum, maybe they just have a few narcissistic traits, but if those traits make them abuse you and make them take advantage of you psychologically, make them manipulate you, make them gaslight you, then it's abuse. Abuse is abuse, right? It doesn't have to come with a diagnosis for it to be abused. So what narcissistic abuse is a very, very deep kind of manipulation, and is a manipulation that makes you, number one, makes you addicted to the person that is manipulating you. And number two, it distorts your perception of your own reality, which is really some of the worst things that you can do to a person. So in what way, why do I say it's addictive? Because a narcissist takes you through a very specific cycle. Okay, that's how they operate. And it starts with the love bombing at the beginning, and where you're the person that I was looking for. You are perfect. This is it. You're the one. This is if it's an intimate relationship. If it's a work environment, it could be, oh my God, we've never had an employee like you. This is amazing. You can do everything perfect. This kind of like big, too much too soon kind of behavior, right?
Right.
Then from there, the second phase of the cycle is called the devaluation, and is where they start putting a little bit of a distance in between, which means, putting a bit of a distance means in a little bit of a mean way as well. So sorry, I should say that in the first phase, they gain your trust and they let you be vulnerable. So they let you put your guard down. So you let them in and they're in. You trust them. You think you know who they are. And then all the horrible things happen. So in the second phase, which is the devaluation, they start putting some distance and start, making jokes that are not really jokes. There are more insults disguised as jokes. Oh, but you're not that great. Or, they start picking things and not actually, you find that phase a little bit strange because you're like, oh, I thought this person really liked me. Why are they telling me those things now? Why those nasty jokes? Why this kind of stuff? And that makes you confused. And then the third phase is called the discard phase, is where that's it. You're nothing for them. They've used you, they've taken advantage of you, and that's done. They no longer need you, and you're gone. Okay. The thing is, it's a cycle. So when it ends, then it starts again and again and again and again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. When they get to that third phase, it's not that they discard you and leave you. They just stay and repeat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what creates the addiction. Because how many people have we heard of, or maybe we know them, that are in this really, really unhealthy relationships? They're not happy. And the person that they're with, or the job that they're in, they're not satisfied. They're not happy. They are not treated well, and yet they don't leave. And if you ask them, why do you not leave? What stops you? Oh, because it's just a phase. They're gonna feel better again. It's gonna stop in a while and they'll be nice again. And that's it. That it creates that addiction, because that after the being ignored comes the love bombing again. So it's, and that's really, really dangerous, because what this kind of addiction does, it makes you associate love. And if we are talking of an intimate relationship, but also in the workplace, it could be, it makes you associate your, you being appreciated at work with suffering, with being discarded, with being put in a corner, which is really, really not the way that it is. It's really, really not the how it is. But for so many people, and it was like this for myself as well. I was in this cycle for so long that I thought all of this was normal. I honestly thought that it was just a phase. I honestly thought, well, he's going through a hard time, it's okay. It's fine. Until then, I started my own healing journey, and I started working with a coach, and things get clearer. When you start healing, when you start working on yourself, you begin to see with so much more clarity. And when I started to see, I saw that, oh, hang on a minute, this was normal for me, but that's not the normal for normal people. That's not right. That's not what's going on here. I've been missing something over here. And it's really, really dangerous, really dangerous.
And you mentioned, Gloria, earlier when you started to talk about it, you mentioned that people are attracted to something that they may have that's already in their family, or an experience that they are used to. So can you talk to that a little bit too?
Yes, of course. So first of all, this doesn't mean that if you had a super healthy family dynamics, it is impossible for you to encounter a narcissist. No, that's not what it means. So I would really like to say that, there are plenty of super healthy, super successful people that, encounter a narcissist in the workplace, in a relationship, and it is completely like one of the toughest things that they would go through. But what very, very often happens is exactly what you were mentioning. So, and what I said at the beginning. So, and this is a little bit of neuroscience for you. So our brain, the way that our brain works, it is not made to make us happy, right? Our brain is made to make us survive, right? And when we're born and when we grow up, we learn certain things, right? We are sponges. There's different developmental stages that we go through in life. And what we experience every single day, whether it's good or bad, it becomes the normality and it becomes familiar for our brain. Okay. So even if we are being abused as children, we do not have the capacity and the knowledge to recognize that that's abuse. So that's what we think it's normal. Therefore, if when we grow up, we find if we have not healed ourselves yet, if we have not gone through the awareness of what has happened, if we have not if we have not worked on ourselves, on our healing, it can happen that when we go and look for a partner, when we go and look for a job, all the kind of relationships and kind of environments that we end up being in are very familiar to what we were used at home, even if they're bad. Just because if it's familiar, your brain, it's going to think it's safe, even if it isn't. Okay. And familiarity is a very, very dangerous thing because, you know, even myself, you know, it kept me in a relationship for 15 years because it made me think that was okay. You know, it was perfectly normal. It is just how our brain works. And so it's really important that we inform ourselves, that we read, that we, you know, there is always something that goes on within, you know, your intuition, your, you know, there's always that spark. Your soul is always, you always know if there is something that's not quite right. And it's very important that we follow that because that's the first kind of like signal, alarm bell, you know, and if you're able to follow that, as scary as that is, if you're able to follow that, it will bring you to the light, towards the light for sure.
Yes. Well, what would you say in your experience? What was the turning point for you? When did you decide you'd had enough?
Yeah. So for me, there's two things. So I used to suffer with severe anxiety and OCD as well. OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder, is an anxiety disorder by which you have to do certain things in certain ways. You have to count things. You have like rituals and stuff, and it is impossible to stop. Okay. And I thought that all of that was happening to me because I was in a very stressful work environment. I had a high pressure job. I was head of events for a company, and it was quite stressful. And obviously I wanted to do well too. So I was also putting pressure on myself as well. So anyway, I was really struggling with OCD, and it got to a point where it was taking me about 45 minutes to leave the house in the morning, 45 minutes to go to bed in the evening, because I had all those things that had to be done, as well as different other rituals and counting things and everything throughout the day. And I got to a point where I just couldn't take that anymore. So I honestly say thank God for OCD, because had I not had that, I wouldn't have probably looked for help. But I couldn't deal with OCD anymore. So I spoke to, there was a girl that I knew who started her life coaching business. She had graduated. She's certified as a coach as well. So I started working with her. She specialized in anxiety and stuff like that. And I just said to her, I just want to get rid of OCD because this isn't life. Like, it's literally like ruling my life. I can't do that, you know? And this is what happens. So OCD takes over your brain. So you're so busy thinking, you know, your anxiety is so much, you're overthinking so much, and you're constantly thinking at what could be going wrong next. So you're trying to predict everything. It's really literally like your mind is super busy. And so we started working on that. And as I was getting rid of the different OCDs that I had, by the way, I was talking to her actually today, and we remembered that I had a list of 39 OCDs throughout the day. Yeah. So as we worked on getting rid of them one by one, fast forward 12 months later, I had got down to 20. So I had got rid of half of them. Now, half of them gave me a brain space that I did not have before, right? Gave clarity, so much more calm, so much more clarity. I didn't have that before. And that's what allowed me to see things. That's what allowed me to, when my ex was gaslighting me, I started being like, but no, I know what I said. Gaslighting is distorting your reality. So when you say, oh, but you just said this, they're like, well, no, I never did that. Yes, I know what you did. I know what I said. I know how it went. And I stopped doubting myself because my brain wasn't constantly busy. And the more I was healing the OCD, the clearer things started to become. And it got me to see him as who he was rather than who I thought he was. And I remember talking to him. It was November, December 2017. I remember sitting down and saying, look, I think we're going into different directions because it is impossible for us to communicate. I don't know, and he tried to tell me that, no, that was just a thing, we're going to be okay soon. It's going to be fine, kind of like downplaying it a lot. And I felt like I wasn't understood. And I was like, I don't think you understand the seriousness of this. Like, I really believe that we're not meant for each other. We're not meant to be together. But anyway, no, he wasn't having it. I asked for help to his family. I was told that we would talk. They completely ignored me. So in January 2018, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore. And I spoke to him and I decided to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you for your bravery and leaving. As it relates to leaving, anyone that may be out there listening who is hearing you today or watching us and saying, this sounds familiar. What advice would you give someone as, because obviously you come to this past, and you're trying to figure out what to do next. And it may not be as easy to just like take that first step. So what would you say to anybody out there who's looking to take a first step?
Yes, I would say safety first. So if you feel like you're not safe, you're not physically safe, pretend if you have to. Okay, because your safety, like your physical safety comes first. So pretend if you have to and prepare yourself to leave. And take time, make a plan and everything. If you fear for your extra safety, if you don't, but you maybe leaving like that out of the blue, it's still too soon, perhaps. And if you feel that what I said to you resonates, maybe research a bit more. Start reading more about it. There's so many books out there. There's so many, even if you go on social media, there's so many other coaches that come to do what I'm doing as well because of their story. And so start seeing other people's stories, and you will see that the more they resonate with you, some things will be very, very hard to swallow. They will be. I'm not going to lie, but you are awakening to something. So definitely keep informed. So yes. And if you feel like you can leave right now, pack your bags and get out the door straight away, because it's the best gift that you can give yourself. 100%. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So at this stage, Gloria, would you say that it is possible to fully heal from emotional abuse? I mean, you're a walking example.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to, I'm going to explain it to you this way, because
Okay.
a lot of people, I believe, are afraid to start working on themselves, because there are a lot of people out there that say that healing is painful, healing is long, and people are like, oh my God, I might as well not try. I'm just going to stay where I am, because it sounds like it's an awful thing to go through. Okay. So let me tell you something first. So what everybody seeks in life is happiness, right? And you might think that if you get the job, you're happy. If you get the house, you're happy. If you get the relationship, you're happy. If you get $1 million, you're happy. Okay. But however, what gives you the happiness, it's not the thing. Okay, it's not the job, the relationship, the money, the shopping. That's not what gives you the happiness. What gives you the happiness is the growth, because from point A and point B, you become a different person. For you to get $1 million, you would have had to go through certain things that bring you to earn $1 million. For you to get the job, you would have had to grow into the person that gets that kind of job. Okay. So the happiness comes from the growth. Okay. And if you want to keep being happy in your life, you have to keep growing. And at every stage, there are going to be uncomfortable things that are going to come up and you're going to have to face. And that's called healing. Okay. So in a way, it never stops. Okay. In a way, it's a lifelong journey, because are you never gonna want anything more in your life? Are you gonna stop at one point and just give up because you're like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm done? No, you're gonna want to progress, because that's what's gonna make you happy. So healing is a journey. Now, it is possible to get to a point where things get a lot easier. Okay, that is 100% possible. You can get to a point where you work on yourself, you do a big chunk of work, and so that you get yourself to a point where, okay, I'm good now. I can face the next phase of my life, the next chapter of my life. Right. And that's okay. Yes, you can definitely heal. However, I would suggest to keep working on yourself, because there's nothing other than gaining, from working on yourself. It isn't something that you're doing, right? There's all good to come there. So yeah,
there's a continued evolution, like we like to say here. It's like you just keep growing. So can you tell the audience out there how about the programs you offer and how someone could work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am currently working on doing a self-paced program, which is going to come out in 2022, but there are other ways that you can work with me. So I do one-to-one coaching. And normally I work with somebody for 6 months at least, because during the 6 months, you can have as many sessions as you want. I am there for you because I want you to actually be able to be like, okay, I'm fine. I feel good. Okay, I'm ready for the next phase, right? So you can work with me in that capacity. I also have a program which I do with another coach. We're joined forces. The program is called Inner Freedom and is aimed at healing the mother wound. So if you have had a dysfunctional relationship with your mother, this is definitely for you. We go through the whole types of different dysfunctional mothers, toxic mothers, the different relationships, how it may have affected you, and then what you can do to move on and actually become the woman that you're meant to be. And then, as I said, and then from next year, I will also have a self-paced program, which is going to be all about bringing out your authentic self. Because that's what it is. If you stay in the toxic relationship, if you never work on yourself, your authentic self will always be suppressed. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we have to create an environment in which our authentic self is proud and happy to come out and play, because that's what we are meant to do. We're meant to be on this earth and live with joy. Nothing but joy.
Yes. And how can the audience find you online or connect to you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm on Instagram, guys. So and I'm very much on Instagram. I'm very much open with my DMs. So if you have any questions, please just message me. I'm there if you have any questions, whether it's questions about the coaching or questions about like narcissistic abuse and you want to know a little bit more as well. I have tons of free content there that explains the vocabulary as well, because when you start researching narcissistic abuse, there's a lot of different terms that are very confusing. So I have loads of material on that as well. But on Instagram, if you can find me at Gloria Battini or my website, gloriabattini.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right. Well, Gloria, thank you for this discussion. And thank you for your transparency and just sharing your story with us. I know that this will help a lot of people who may be listening or watching us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this opportunity. I am honestly a woman on a mission. So the more I can shed some light on these kind of subjects and show people that you can come out of it and you can live the life that you want, then, I'm happy. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yes. And before I let you go, we're going to do one final segment, and that's 5 Things with Gloria. I'm going to ask you 5 random questions, helps us just get to know you a little bit better. So number 1 is, how do you start the day?
Ooh, I have a miracle morning routine. So I start the day. So I get up and I journal, and I start with gratitude. And I am grateful for things that have happened in the past 24 hours, as well as things that have not happened yet. And I practice my gratitude that way. And then I journal on my intention for the day. Then after journaling, I connect with my spirituality and I consult my oracle cards. And I always pick a card for the day to just give me inspiration and how I can show up for the day. Then I do some meditation. And then I try to move my body a little bit, whether it's yoga or I go for a walk or I do a little workout, but try to move my body. And then I have breakfast, and then that's it. I start.
I love it. I love it. What is one goal that you've set for yourself? So business or professional or personal?
I can give you both. So one of the personal goals that I have is I really want to do a hike to get to Everest Base Camp. It's a dream of mine. So I would really it's a 14 days trek in Nepal. And that's a goal that I have, just to get to the base camp of the top of the world. And then a business goal that I have, in a few years, I would really like to have touched thousands and thousands of people's lives and have made a difference and be able to show them that their past doesn't define them. It's their story, and they can write it whatever they want on that page. So I hope I will have done that in a few years.
Okay, I like it. What do you like doing on a day off?
On a day off, so I love being creative. So I do loads of painting by numbers. I am not great drawing, but I love doing that. I love painting by numbers. I love reading a lot. I read daily, but if I can. But if I have a whole day off and the weather is nice, then I really love spending time in nature a lot.
Awesome. And what is one of your favorite things to do for your own personal self-care?
A bath. Ooh, a nice bath with the salts, with the candles, with the incense, like proper, like spa day kind of thing. Love that.
Yes. And lastly, how do you end the day?
How do I end the day? I journal.
All right.
I journal and I read. So I go to bed. I leave my phone downstairs. I don't see my phone between 8 p.m. and 9 a.m. So I'm just like completely switched off. And then we come upstairs. I do a little bit of journaling on how the day is gone. And then I just lay down and read for a while.
Awesome. I love that. I like that.
Thank you.
Well, fantastic. Fantastic, Gloria. Well, thank you again for joining. You can always come back and share more if you'd like in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's been an honor, a pleasure, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned, everyone. I'll be right back.